Hello, Shaun. Thank you for meeting with me today. Today's topic that I'd like to discuss is timing and the strategy behind bringing multiple buyers to the table at once. So, before we get to that topic, can you first share a high level overview of the different types of buyers?
Absolutely, Kathy. There are basically four different buyer types out there. You have the individual buyer, which is typically, in our case, is a physician. You have a strategic buyer, which is usually somebody who is in the market. Maybe they are a larger version of the same specialty,
Mhm.
and they're looking to acquire another practice to gain market share. Or you have somebody where there's a synergistic value. Both of those could be considered a strategic buyer. Then you have a financial buyer. And a financial buyer is typically going to be a private equity firm or an MSO that's looking to acquire more practices of a certain type to fill a platform that they're building out. And the last type of buyer would be an institutional buyer. Typically, that's going to be a hospital system or a insurance company.
Okay. And then what would you say is the strategy behind the timing and the coordination that it takes to bring buyers to the table simultaneously?
It's pretty simple. It's the goal is to make and create the most competitive process for our client. So we want to have multiple buyers arrive to the same destination at basically the same time. And so what we will do there is we will try to understand the buyer's pace. And in some cases, if they're a slower buyer, move them forward a little quicker. And a faster buyer, we might pull them back a little bit. So it's a dance that we do with each different type of buyer. Typically, when we go to market, we're dealing with the same class of buyers. It's not usually a mix. You wouldn't
Mhm.
institutional buyer and an individual buyer both looking at the same opportunity. But within the same class, you're going to have different timing issues and whatnot. And so trying to get them to the table at the same time is the goal.
And would you say that the methodology for doing so is the same for those different classes of buyers, or is it different?
Oh, it's going to be very different. And I think in the area that the level of sophistication, the level of
Mhm.
information, the level of the team, the level of the advisors is going to vary widely between those different classes of buyers. And so as the buyer is more sophisticated, the due diligence gets more sophisticated, the deal terms get more sophisticated, the legal support is at a different level. And so
Right.
that is, that is the big differences there is dealing with mainly in the beginning, it's dealing with the due diligence request and the negotiations. And that is going to vary based upon uh, the sophistication of the buyer.
Okay. And then what would you say is the main benefit or benefits of bringing buyers to the table at once?
The ultimate goal is to get the best price and terms for our client. And in
Mhm.
order to do that, we need to get buyers to compete with each other.
Okay, that makes sense. And then are there specific conditions or parameters that you filter the offers through before you even present them to the seller?
Absolutely. We pre screen them initially. We want to make sure they are who they say they are, that that they have the resources, that they have they don't, they have a clean history behind them. There's no board complaints if it's an individual buyer that we're working with.
Mhm.
We're going to want to review their experience. So if it is a private equity buyer, financial buyer, we're going to want to look to make sure do they have experience in our industry, and is it relevant? Could they add, could they improve upon what's currently built? And so, looking at experience, Also, financial ability, we talked a little bit about that. And then
Hmm.
the other thing we're looking at is assessing fit. So we take the time to really learn our clients before we take a practice to market. We want to understand from our client exactly who it is we're out searching for. And so we are going to, as part of our process filter, if you will, that we're going to use, we're going to kind of assess fit. Do we think this buyer is a likely fit for our client? If so, then we will go forward and start our process with buyer seller meetings.
Okay. And is there such a thing as offer overload or offering or presenting too many offers at once?
Yes, and fortunately, we haven't had to deal with that yet. But and that's usually occurs when you have a structured auction process where you
Okay.
put a practice on the market, you control the timing of it. And when you do it that way, you could end up with a bulk of offers, and you've got to go through a process to evaluate each offer before presenting it to your client.
Okay. And then what's some advice or guidance that you give to a seller when reviewing these multiple offers at once?
Well, the first thing I would say is that the seller should ask their broker to prepare a comprehensive matrix of all the deal points so that you can easily compare offer A to offer B to offer C and how do they vary in different components. For example, what is the due diligence period between each offer? What is the escrow provision? Um, all these different elements that are in contracts, you should be able to do a matrix and compare them between them to help you to more easily and efficiently evaluate each opportunity. And I think the other piece of advice I would say is um, always in the back of your mind, don't forget about fit. I think fit is oftentimes the most important consideration. And and I know many cases where the buyer chooses maybe the second best offer because it's the best fit.
Hmm. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Shaun.
All right, my pleasure, Kathy.